Hi everyone. I know a few years have asked how to create layered cake toppers, sorry. So I'm going to do a tutorial to show you how just to basically layer something such as a name, and then how to start making it a bit more in depth too. I'll just do it as one tutorial. I do apologise, you might get a little voice in the background if the 3-year-old appears, so I do apologise. So I've just got Design Space open. I am just going to click New Project. I'm hoping my contour feature is working because it wasn't when I recorded the first part of this video. It wouldn't work, so if I stop that recording and start this again. So hopefully this time it's updated itself, done a system update, so hopefully it works. So first up, I'm just going to put in a name. It could be a name and a number, it could just be a name. It's entirely up to you. For the purpose of this one, I'll start off with just name. I'll do a name and number, just to show you how it starts building up when you start adding in multiple features. Then I'll show you how to offset images that you then might just use kind of as cupcake toppers, or how to then start building in an in-depth cake topper. So if you've got any questions about this, please either do just pop them into the comment section on here. I'm sure I'll find a way to reply to them. I don't really use YouTube much, although I know I need to be using it more. Alternately, you can pop by my group, Little Miss Designs SVG on Facebook. It's Little Miss Designs SVG group, and I'm happy to help, or you can inbox us. I am happy to help at any point. I'm happy to do a Zoom session with anybody who desperately needs some more one-on-one help as well. Just give us a shout. So I don't tend to use Cricut Design Space fonts. I've been a Cricut user for over 7 years now. I had the subscription maybe for about the first year, and then I used to get really frustrated with the spacing on the text, how long it took for text to upload, so I self-taught myself Inkscape, and so I've never used Design Space fonts up until probably the last 18 months when I started teaching a face-to-face class in Washington, Tyne Weir, and then for the purpose of my class I went back to using Cricut Design Space Access, but I only tend to use for the class. If I'm doing anything for myself, I don't tend to use it. I create an Inkscape and I upload. So, but for the purpose of this, I will go through Design Space unless anybody's desperate for an Inkscape tutorial, and I'm happy to do that too. So I'm just going to come into my system fonts. I went for, was it Alive I went for before? I don't think it did. Most of my fonts come off Creative Fabrica. I do pay the subscription for that. One of my favourite ones, and I'm just going to go for that one for quickness, is Hey Butterfly. This was available on Font Bundles, I want to say free. You do need to create an account to get it, and I'm sure it might be on Creative Fabrica as well, but happy to grab links for anybody who needs it. So one of my suggestions when you're working in Design Space is don't work in dark colours. You can I can see that kind of between where my letters are joining, there is a break, but it's a bit harder to see that when you're working in darker colours. But if you switch to the light colours, you can see that instantly. What I would recommend is when you first start offsetting, because that's what you need build up on this, is to offsetting, is don't initially weld your letters to start off with. I know it automatically welds itself now when you send it a cut, which is a great feature that never used to be there. But the difference between unwelded word and welded word when it comes to offsetting, you will see the difference yourself if you have a play around with it. You get, I don't know how to word it, but you get more accuracy, and you get it's easier when it's unwelded. You can manipulate it a lot more than you can when it's welded. So I recommend unwelded, start playing, and then it'll automatically weld the layers itself, so you don't need to worry about that. If you've got the box tick, so it'll show you how. But this is definitely easier to start off with without welding. So I'm just going to use the offset feature. On the desktop version, it's just on this top bar, directly under the untitled, where it would label your project. So I'm just going to click offset. If I start, you will see it kind of automatically updates itself. If I move it this way, it's going to go thicker. If I move it that way, it's going to go thinner. If I slide it past this little line here, it's going to reduce the text size. So it becomes an inset is what it's called. And that makes this text, the purple text, a lot thinner. Inset is great when it comes to building up on your cake toppers, and I will show you how and why. But just to start off with, just keep to the right hand side of the scale. With small details on cake toppers, I tend to use vinyl layered on card. It just gives it's just easier when it comes to gluing it. I do mix the vinyl and card together quite a lot. I tend to use masking tape for applying it, otherwise I just de-stick my clear transfer tape quite a few times. I recycle some of the older stuff just to stop it sticking to the card. I don't tend to have an issue with it sticking to the card anyway. I have maybe once or twice with some kind of mirror card, but I typically don't have an issue. So I'm just going to set that offset at a little, I'll increase it a little bit more. You can kind of see how you got the centre of these letters, the L's, and that there. I'll show you how to get rid of them in a minute. So I'm just going to increase this a little bit first. The reason why I use vinyl is dependent, I mean this is set to 9 inches. I'm not going to have a 9-inch cake topper. You know, if I was to set it to realistically what I would have it at, about 4 to 5 inches what I typically set them at. Then you'll see kind of it starts getting smaller and it starts getting harder to stick little 3D, the little foam pads onto the back of there. I do cut them to the size I need, but it is harder. So that's why I typically use vinyl for the name, apply the card, then start layering with my card and my 3D foam pads. So that is my first layer, and then I'm simply just going to click the offset when it'll click the offset for us, and then offset that 3 or 4 more times, just depending on the overall look that I'm looking for this cake topper. My last layer, I would duplicate it and mirror it, and all I would do is put them back to back on each other. Just gives the back a clean, nice finish. It hides your sticks or your straws, whatever you're using as the stake on it, and it just finishes off the cake topper to a nice high quality. You could simply not mirror it and just use your back layer and just place the straws between them 2 layers. If I was just to change the colour of them just so that you can see, for example, so I tend to use acrylic sticks that I get, the cake sticks that I get from Crafty Cutter, on mine to create my layers. I'm just using my layer panel here because it's not selecting them easily for us that way. So what I would do is between this silver layer and this dark purple layer is I would attach me sticks to the back of that purple layer and then finish off with the silver on the back. Alternatively, I would just duplicate the back layer if I wanted to add a couple more layers, and finish it off by sticking the acrylic cake stick, I will get my words out to you guys, to the back, and then just finish that with the mirrored glitter piece of card on the back, or mirror card, whatever you're using. It's up to you. So that is just a basic name cake topper. It finishes it off a bit nicer if you kind of use the contour tool and just hide all these little bits here. It also gives it a cleaner cut and it's easier for you, and it just gives it a bit more of a crisper finish. I just hit the hide all contour and that will hide all the little bits. Again, I'll do it on that purple bit just to get rid of that. You can just click on them in the layout panel. You can click on them on here, or the easiest thing to do is really just to hit hide all. It saves you, it saves the faff, and it's just done. So this then comes up to here, and then all I would do is just send it to cut, load me colours onto my mat, and then just use the foam pads. I tend to use the 3mm ones because they're obviously a bit thicker. I'm not so keen on the 2mm ones. I just don't feel they give as much pop to them as I would like. So that is a basic name. So if you want to then start adding a bit more to your cake toppers, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom out there a bit. Download your images, whatever they may be. This one I'm just going to do Wednesday Adams. My eldest is in Wednesday Adams, and it's her birthday soon, and I have been working on a cake topper for her. So these are too big at the moment for design and print and cut. I know that has improved massively, the size you now have on that. I mean, they're probably an okay size if you just want to kind of stick them as skewers in a cake to decorate. All I would recommend doing is this one, as you can see the grid through it. So if I was doing that as a print and cut, it's still going to hollow out these bits on it. So all I would do is offset it. Now on these ones, what I tend to do is I'll do the print and cut, and then I'll layer it onto a glitter cardstock offset layer, for example, or a mirror one, just to give it a bit more 3D effect and a bit more shimmer. So I'm just going to reduce that. I'm going to set the first offset. I mean, you can physically come in and actually change the numbers in this if you wanted to. I mean, you can see there. Clicked the wrong button and undone it. You can use the slider. You can do this to whatever you wanted to do. So I'm going to first click apply to this. And then this is where it wouldn't work before either. That should come up here as a contour option to, oh wait there, I know why. First, we'll just backtrack a couple of seconds. So these are set to print and cut, which is absolutely fine, and what I need it to do for that. But this one, especially the Wednesday Adams one, it's going to cut our face, our lips will end up separate. So what I need to do first is I'll offset it, and then I'm going to come and change the offset to just a cut. I'm just going to change it to a basic cut. That'll then give us the contour option. That's why it wouldn't work before. It never used to do this, but it's obviously an update change. Again, I'm just going to hit hide all. And that's going to create an offset for that. I'm going to create that offset in white. I'm just going to bring Wednesday Adams back into here. I'm just going to align that up, center, and I'm just going to flatten her. I know you can't see the offset, but if I was to change my canvas colour, you can actually change your canvas colour down here, if it's going to let us. Oh, I don't think it's going to let us. Doesn't look like it's going to let us, but you can change the colour of your canvas down here, and then you would see this a bit more. So again, I'm just going to do it, what I've done here, I'm just going to offset it slightly just to create that offset for it cutting around initially. So, you know, you could leave this one black, that is absolutely fine. In fact, I probably will leave this one black. I am just going to shrink him. And if you're not creating the offset for cutting, then you can just click flat. And I'm sorry if I'm confusing anybody, but do just shout. Then what I would do is I would create my offset. This one I would set to silver, and I would probably actually do them as the holographic silver. That looks quite good on the, you can see now that I've got. So this one here, these two here is what I'm going to need to change up here to a basic cut, because these are what I'm going to cut from card. And if I use the contour and hide all, that will cut that. And again, contour and hide all will cut that. So they would give me my images. If you're just using these as a decoration to sit on top of a cake without kind of creating the bigger elaborate cake toppers, then this bit would do as a print and cut. Whoops, this would print and cut. This you would just cut with your cardstock and then just use the foam pads to cut on it. What I would do with these is, to make it look cleaner, is I would duplicate this one, I would mirror it, and then I would stick the cake topper, the skewers, the cocktail sticks, whatever you're using, and layer that between the two layers of card and put the print and cut on the top. I'm hoping that makes sense. If you want us to do a video on assembling it, please do just let us know. So this would kind of be me basics anyway. So you could have your name. These I would probably reducing the size a bit, just depending on the design. So again, you could have your name. If I just go for Emily, just for easiness sake, I might change the font on this one, something a bit more gothic-y. Trouble is, when it comes to choosing fonts, I have that many. I know it's not very Wednesday Adamsy, this one, but what have I got? I'm just going to pick this one just for quickness. No, I'm not going to pick that one. I'll go back to the one I was on. I'll just go on to this vintage culture one for now. So what I sometimes do as well is I might just do all capitals, depending on the cake topper. So is what I discussed before in terms of adding, to start building around it. What I'm going to start doing is I'm just going to delete these off here, just because I don't need them right at this moment. I am going to reduce the size of this. I might put her over there. My hardest part's always the same where I'm going to put things. So this is just going to start building up these cake toppers. So what I would do is, once I was kind of happy with the position of things, it might be, you know, that these I would normally put on the top. I'm going to show you my example of my Wednesday Addams one to show you once I've done. What I'll do is I'm just going to remove the hand for now. I am just going to use Wednesday Addams as my example, and I might put where's it gone? That's the one I want. So double click it. Remember to double click it, Sarah. Honestly, it's been a long holidays, guys. I am ready to go back to work next week. So this is just going to start showing you how I start building up a little bit more. You could put that 11 underneath there, have her there. In fact, what I would probably do is I would probably align them all first. If I just shimmy down a little bit, reduce the size so I can actually see what I'm doing. So I've aligned these all up, and then what I would start doing is start creating me layers essentially. The easiest way to do that, it's going to depend on the effect that you're looking for. So I'm more than happy to do individual ones in terms of a round one, build up, a name one. Please do just shout if you want any individual, or if you want an individual Zoom, do just give us a shout. So what I would do with this is I would start off with an offset. This is going to be a bit tricky depending on how much and how quickly you want it to build up. I can go quite chunky if I just want double layers. I could go quite thin. So this is going to start building up. What I would do is you'll have your layer panels here. Your offset, you will see, has holes in it. If I move it to the side, but we'll come back and correct that in a minute. I'm just going to change my layers colours as I'm going so that you can see where I'm going with this. And then again, offset it again. What I tend to do is I tend to keep my offset to similar size so it increases in a similar margin. As well, but you can completely play around with this and offset this at whatever thickness you wanted, and then I would probably go for another one again, and do that one in silver. I'd probably make that one a little bit thicker, but this depends entirely on what you do. Where I would stick the sticks would depend on the size of it. That one I would set to silver. Now that would, if I was to, oops, keep it all there, I could literally create that as one solid layer by flattening it. You'll see it kind of changes texture, and that would just do as a print and cut. That's not what I want to achieve with this one. I would layer it up with me foam pads and my glitter cardstock. So at the moment all of these are set to print and cut. So I'm just going to move Wednesday Addams out of the way. I'm just going to highlight this all and then click basic cut. Again, you've seen that it's instantly changed my colours. It's the only thing I hate with this. So I go back in and just use my layers panels here, and I'm just going to change my colours back to what I want them as. Now, as you can see, this is going to cut all these little holes in this as well, which is what I don't want on this cake topper. So I'm just going to high contour again on this one, high contour, and I think the back layer is probably going to be the same. By all means, change the top layer to print and cut before you start to print. Before, if you wanted to, I am just going to highlight all of them and center. That lines that all up. I'm just going to bring Emily back in to here. Again, that I would probably cut from vinyl, depending on the overall size of this cake topper, and apply it to this top layer. To be honest, I'd probably cut this initial layer here in silver mirror, and I'll bring Wednesday Addams back into there. So I mean, the overall size, oh, wrong layer. I wanted to grab it all. If I just group that all together. The overall size of that one's about 4 inches, which is not a bad height for a cake top. I tend to do about 4 to 5 on average on the cake topper. Now, if I was just to show you, for example, the other cake topper that, where is my Wednesday Addams one? See if she's in here, or whether I've lost her when I've saved it with something else. Oh, I think I've lost her. I think I've lost it. I had one built up, Wednesday Addams one all built up, but I can't seem to see it right now. Sometimes I forget to save them, and then, well, we don't have any. No, I must have not saved it. I'm annoyed with myself for that one now. But so that's an idea for that one. I really don't want this video to go on too long. So that's the basics of it. So I'm going to finish this video here, and then what I'll do is I'll do a another one where I've created a round one, where you can start adding stuff such as shaker or lights to it too. I hope you find this helpful. If you don't, then please let us know why. I do ramble and I do apologise for that. Get sidelined very easily. But if there's anything else that you'd like help with, please do let us know. And as I said, I'm more than happy to talk things through with people. Thanks for watching.